Welcome to Corporate Agony Ant, the podcast that takes the agony out of career progression and gives you the straight talking advice you actually need to thrive at work. I'm Izzy, your Corporate Agony Ant. Whether you're chasing a promotion, negotiating a pay rise, navigating office politics, or figuring out your next career move, this is the place for career highs, lows, yeses, and nos. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening because your next big opportunity starts right here. First up, we're tackling your corporate dilemmas and how to handle them. The first one is, I work remotely and I feel disconnected. How do I stay visible? I would say you need to engage actively in meetings and network online. Remote work has so many perks, but one of the biggest downsides is the risk of feeling invisible. And when you're not physically present, it's so easy to get overlooked for opportunities, promotion, recognition. To combat that, you have to be intentional about staying engaged and ensuring your contributions are noticed. So try and speak up in meetings. Make it a point to contribute in every team meeting, even if it's just a really short insight or question. Preferably use video whenever possible. Face-to-face interaction makes a hell of a lot of difference. If you're naturally quiet, prepare a few talking points before the meeting so you're ready to chime in. For example, I love what Dave just said about streamlining processes. One idea I had was using whatever tool to automate X. Has anyone tried that before? You're asking for advice while sharing an idea. Networking proactively is a great way to do it. Scheduling virtual coffee chats with colleagues and managers. They can be just casual check-ins to build relationships just beyond transactional work tasks. Join company Slack channels or Teams groups that discuss industry trends or team culture topics. Do the same online. Engage with leadership by commenting on company-wide discussions or responding to emails with thoughtful insights. And make sure to document and share your work. You need to keep a running list of your contributions and achievements. When you do your weekly or your monthly updates to your manager, outline progress on key projects. So, hey Dave, I wanted to share a quick update on project A. This week we hit milestone B, and I also implemented improvement C. Let me know if you'd like more details. Honestly, going above and beyond to shout about your achievements is the best way to get yourself known and heard. Try and be present beyond work tasks. If they do virtual happy hours, Q&A sessions, or company-wide initiatives, as lame as they feel, your name on the list is a good way to be. Volunteering for projects that require collab across teams gets your name known outside of your immediate department. Out of sight does not mean out of mind, you just have to stay present. Visibility is not just about being seen, it's about adding value in a way that makes people remember you. Our next corporate dilemma is, I hate networking, but I know that I need to do it. Have you any tips? Networking gets a bad reputation because people think of it as false, transactional, awkward, contrived, but at its core, networking is just relationship building with a professional twist. It's about making genuine connections that can help both parties in the long run. So you just need to change your mindset. Stop thinking of networking as asking for favors or forcing conversations. Instead, approach it like making new friends. Get curious about other people's work, their journeys, their interests, what they've done so far. And instead of, I need a job, can you help? Try, I'm really interested to hear about your marketing industry, and I'd love to hear how you got into it. Start small, start with low stakes. Practice networking in comfortable environments like industry groups or online communities, or even with existing colleagues. You can begin with informal chats, message someone on LinkedIn to ask about their role. Just don't go immediately into the job hunt leads. Use the give before you take approach. In fact, my approach is give, then take. Offer value before asking for anything. Share an interesting article, make an introduction, or compliment someone's work. For example, saying, I saw your post on AI and I found it super insightful, especially your point about workplace adoption. Have you seen XYZ article? I think you'd absolutely love it. I saw your post on AI and found it super useful, especially your point about AI adoption in marketing. Have you seen XYZ article? I think you'd love it. Find the networking format that suits you. If you dislike big networking events, try the one-on-one coffee chats or the online networking through LinkedIn. You don't have to do it all. If small talk is tough, I always have a few go-to questions depending on what the crowd is. Asking someone how they got started in their field or their career. Asking someone what the best advice they've ever had. Asking someone what they're really passionate about and working on at the moment. Networking is literally just making friends with a purpose, and people fully expect that if they're networking too, you're there to mutually benefit each other. So forget forced connections, just focus on building relationships that could naturally evolve into career opportunities. Some of my best networking opportunities have not yielded anything for 10 years, and they're coming to fruition now because I built a network authentically, not based on what people could give to me, but based on building friendships professionally that might help each other in the future. Next up, we're talking corporate confessionals, the part of the podcast where someone shares their mistake anonymously to help you feel more normal about the mistakes you make at work. Because really and truly, we're all only human and we all make mistakes and they are not career ending. Today, I've taken the bold and brave decision to share 3 of my corporate confessionals, so they're not anonymous. They're things that happened to me, what happened, how I overcame them, and how I will never do them again, hopefully. My first one is about talking on internal phone lines. Now, naively, I knew all calls were recorded for training and monitoring purposes. It said it on the phone lines in the sales job that I was in, but I didn't think our internal calls between colleagues would be recorded. And we had this manager we really didn't like. And me and my friend at the time, she's still my friend now, but me and my friend at the time would call each other and be like, oh my God, have you seen that email that so-and-so sent? Oh my God, have you seen what she said about this? And definitely it was the most bitchy catty thing in the world, but we really didn't like her and it was just our way of venting. Anyway, turns out she could hear all of our calls, internal and external, and the person in question, my friend, she got let go. I got to stay because they saw her as the instigator and me as an innocent party that got carried away. I'm thankful for that, but I was really sorry to see her go because I loved working with her. I was sat down and asked to stop doing things like that. Talked about how sometimes it's easy to get swept along with colleagues and to join in on idle talk, but like we need to square that off and that needs to be done with today. It was a firm telling off that I didn't really fully understand till afterwards because I didn't quite know how they knew what we'd been talking about. That was my lesson, to never ever communicate on internal comms of any kind, phones, company WhatsApps, Teams, Slack, you name it. I will not say anything on there anymore. That is all accessible and I don't want to be a part of it. My next corporate confessional is about sharing pay. So I resigned from a job and then I got a new job offer, and so my old job counter offered me a huge salary increase. I confided in someone who I assumed would be on more money than me and also was more senior than me, so I thought could be trustworthy because I genuinely didn't know what to do in that scenario. It turns out the assumption on their pay was completely wrong and they were not paid enough based on their skill set and their experience, so they used that as an opportunity to instigate a conversation for a pay rise of their own. Do you know what? Most people would do that. I'm not mad at that person anymore. At the time I was devastated. I was so upset. But in actual fact, you need to be careful about pay transparency because a lot of companies do not have that. And if you're the person that's sharing pay when no one else is, that is the fastest way to be reprimanded. I got absolutely bollocked. My promotion was delayed. And everyone found out about it from 1 or 2 people knowing, and then everyone measured my worth against their perception of my perceived salary and value, and I had a horrible time in that business after that, and I eventually left because I absolutely hated it because everyone knew what money I was on and no one ever thought that I was worth it, and people only ever thought I'd got it because I'd resigned rather than that being my actual value to begin with. So learn when you can talk about pay and when you can't. My guess is if your job is advertised with pay online, then companies know what pay bands are amongst staff. If your job is not advertised with pay and it just says competitive salary, the likelihood is pay is not something that is to be discussed. It is intentionally kept as a secret to help keep colleagues at bay, and you don't want to be contributing to it unless you want to be the change you want to see in the world and you have another job lined up. Otherwise, promise you don't do it. My last one is I was waiting on a Teams call with a colleague. We really didn't want to do the Teams call. We were doing it as a favour to someone, and we were just yapping away saying, once we get this done, we can F it off for good. Anyway, it turns out the client was already on the call. They were in the background. We just couldn't see them. And we had literally gone on and on and on. They joined the call, like they spoke up, but they were like, hi, we're here. And we spent the rest of the call sort of trying to backpedal and say like, oh, sorry, we were just talking about this nightmare client we've just had. But I think deep down they knew. And it was the most awkward conversation of my life. And I'd say I've learned on that one, but I probably still do it sometimes. So be mindful of who's on calls and don't start talking on the start of a call because they could well be on it. There's also so much software that's integrated with conference calls now. So like Otter AI as an example transcribes live recordings straight away, and those plugins start from the very beginning of the commencement of the call. So it's much easier to be caught out in broad daylight and in black and white. So try and stay clear of what I do. Next up, we have our interview power move masterclass. Today I'm talking about, if I lost my job today, here is what I would do tomorrow. Because that's one of the most common messages I'm getting from people at the moment, and it's awful to read. Honestly, the market is so tough, and losing a job can feel completely overwhelming. But the key is to take immediate strategic action instead of panicking. Treat your job search like a project with structure and purpose. Here's exactly what I would do to bounce back quickly. Firstly, I would update my CV immediately. No procrastination. Why? Because your most marketable skills and recent achievements are still fresh in your mind. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to write with clarity and confidence. How? Search LinkedIn for job descriptions of roles similar to what you want and tailor your CV accordingly. People never do this. They tailor their CV to what they've already done, tailor it to what you're applying for, and focus heavily on impact. Quantify achievements. For example, I increased revenue by 20% and I reduced processing time by 30%. Keep them clean, simple, and skimmable. Recruiters spend an average of 6 to 7 seconds screening the CV. What are you putting in there that's impactful and memorable at the start? And do not do it alone. Ask a trusted friend to proofread your CV. It's easy to miss tiny errors. Treble check your phone number and your email address. I beg you, the amount of phone numbers that are wrong on CVs when I call to shortlist and I get, this number is not recognised. It's so sad, especially when that person was a shoo-in for a next opportunity. Next, I get my CV ready in multiple formats. Why? Because different employers and application systems require different formats: PDF, Word, ATS-friendly versions. Having these ready saves time later. How? To do so, I keep a standard CV, well designed but simple for human readers, an ATS-friendly CV, which is a plain format without tables, images, or excessive formatting, and different versions based on the type of role. For instance, one that really needed to emphasize leadership skills and another that really needs to focus on technical skills. Try not to overthink it, okay? You need 2 or 3 versions maximum. Spending weeks tweaking a CV isn't job hunting. Honestly, it's procrastination. What I find most people don't consider is aligned roles in different industries or professions, because we're not understanding of our transferable skills and strengths and how we can leverage them for new opportunities. If your industry is struggling and that's why you're losing your job, or the competition is fierce, a broader search increases your chances. Your skills are transferable. Cast a wider net at the top of your job search to increase your opportunities at the bottom. To do this, you need to list your top skills and ask, where else can this be applied? Use LinkedIn, job boards, ChatGPT to explore alternative career paths. For example, if you're in marketing, look at roles in content strategy, sales enablement, product marketing. It's a mindset shift. You are not your job title. You have a skill set that you can apply in multiple places. I would also tap into my network immediately. Your network is bigger than you think, okay? Your network is not just whatever you have on LinkedIn connections. It's the people you've come across in your career, the people you come across in the street, the people you come across at the local restaurant. Your network is not just a professional network. It's all the people that you are adjacent to that you can ask for introductions and access, okay? Referrals are the fastest way to land a job. 80% of roles are filled through networking. So I would call or message the 5 most well-connected people I know. I'd probably do 10. I'd really want to increase my chances. And I'd ask them to introduce me to 2 or 3 different people in industries or companies. That message could be, hey Dave, I'm currently exploring new opportunities and I would love to connect with people in the automotive industry. Do you know anyone who might be open to a quick chat? I'd really appreciate an intro. You're not asking for a job, you're asking for someone to help you start a conversation that could lead to opportunities. And quite frankly, people are always happy to help, especially if it's with a job hunt. Next, I'd introduce myself on LinkedIn. A well-crafted LinkedIn post can put opportunities in your inbox instead of you chasing them. So post a short, confident and engaging update about your situation and what it is that you're looking for. So an example might be, big life update. I'm currently exploring new opportunities in the automotive industry. I bring sales, strategy and a passion for customer service. If you know of any exciting opportunities or great people to connect with, I'd love to chat. And I'd update my LinkedIn headline to say something clear like, sales specialist looking for new opportunities in the automotive industry, or experienced project manager open to roles in technology or automation. Engage the post from hiring managers, recruiters and industry leaders to get noticed. Next, and this is probably not the advice you want, but you need to structure your job hunt like a job. A job search without structure can feel like an endless, exhausted grind, so you need to stay on schedule and stay productive. Start every day at a set time, keeps momentum and it keeps discipline. Dedicate time in blocks, so let's say 2 to 3 hours of applications, 1 hour of learning a new skill or an industry trend, maybe an hour on personal branding, LinkedIn, networking, outreach, and definitely 60 minutes of self-care, exercise, reading, something that clears your head, gets you out of the house. Looking for a job is a job, so treat it like one. But please remember, this is not the be all and end all. This too shall pass, okay? This is an awful time in your career, but soon it'll be a distant memory and you'll be on to your next thing. So be patient and kind with yourself. I really would advocate for changing scenery. Searching for a job from the same couch where you binge Netflix with Netflix on in the background can be demotivating. Gilmore Girls isn't going to help you land the job of your dreams. A change in environment really helps focus. So for example, work from a coffee shop, a library, a co-working space, something to simulate a structured routine that takes you out of your home address. And dress as if you were going to the office, not in a full suit like me, but wear pressed clothes, okay? Get out of your activewear or your loungewear. Wear a nice top. You never know who you're going to meet. The faster you start, the faster you move forward. Do not let rejection or uncertainty slow you down. Take action, stay visible, and create opportunities for yourself. Remember, when you are interviewing and applying for things, please talk from experience and use examples, okay? You cannot get 100% on an interview, but you can give context about why you're 100% a great fit. Take your notepad and a bottle of water. They're easy things to forget, but they make a huge impact. And lastly, we're over to our community questions, where producer Georgia collates questions from socials to make sure we're hearing you loud and clear and giving the answers you really need to thrive in your career. Georgia, what have we got today?
How long can I keep a job waiting when I haven't been set a wait time and would like to go to another job interview before I make up my mind?
It can be so easy when you get a job offer to immediately say, I accept, or to feel pressured into saying, I accept. And most companies want you to make that decision really impulsively and quickly, because why would they want you to go somewhere else? So I would consider a few things. If you get offered a job on the Monday, say thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited by the prospect of working with you. I'd love for you to give me the weekend to consider my options and I'll be back in touch. Or I'm currently involved in quite a few processes at final stage. I would love if you could give me the week or so to just finish off these processes, then I can come back to you with more of an informed answer. You have to take control, as nerve-wracking as it can feel. Alternatively, you can play the game a tiny bit. I don't advocate for this too often, but if you need to give someone a verbal yes, you should just figure out whether the final stage interview you're going for tomorrow is going to be the one, then you can do it. You can always withdraw, just don't sign anything, okay? How was that?
Yeah, that's great. Next one is, how do you navigate going part-time to focus on a side hustle?
Navigating going part-time to focus on a side hustle is not a perfect art, and it differs for everyone. So again, I don't want to be overly prescriptive because it's quite subjective. What I would say is you need to ascertain what you can afford to earn from a part-time salary job in order to allow you the time to do your freelance work. So let's say for me, it meant I could do 3 days a week part-time employed, and then 2 days a week was centered around childcare with my freelance work in the evenings. So I knew I could take a 3-day-a-week job, and then I worked out what I could afford to earn for those 3 days, and then I applied for jobs that fit that rather than working it the other way around. I think it's often so easy to think, oh my God, I really want to jump into my side hustle, and that is fair enough, and if I was more entrepreneurial I would maybe do that, but for me I like to hedge my bets. I like to sort of try and mitigate risk where possible. So if there's as much as you can do to exhaust your side hustle whilst you work full time and earn as much money as you can as your seed money for your side hustle, I would, before going part time. It's harder to go from part time back up to full time, so I would stagger it. I would think, how much can I do freelance whilst I am full-time employed? And then how can I look for a job thereafter that still pays the bills in the way that I need to and provides me with the security that I want with the freedom to do my freelance work? How was that, producer Georgia?
What do I do if I mistake a spam email from someone who's pretending to be my boss and then follow out what I've been asked to do before I realise that it's spam?
Tell your boss. You can't come back from it. Tell your boss. They're going to find out. Let them find out from you and not a company fraud email from the bank. Please tell your boss. That's it. That's the only advice. Go and tell your boss now. Apologise. Tell your boss.
Perfect. Is it okay to chase a job that I really want, who said they'd get back to me and haven't?
Right, it's okay to chase a job. So let me give you an example. If I'm in a commercial role, I might chase for an update after a week because they might want to see my tenacity and my willingness to pursue something as if I was going to pursue new business. But what I would always say, and I've learned this the hard way from being on the other side of internal recruitment, is a company has not forgotten about you, okay? Sometimes their internal processes are much slower than they present in the interview. So they might say they'll come back in a week, but really they know that they mean to. And that's okay. But often, if you are not getting feedback after 2, 3, 4 weeks, then you're a no. They've just not had the time to communicate the no's because the yeses are much easier to communicate than the no's. Similarly, they could have extended or elongated their process to accommodate more candidates. They have not forgotten about you if you are the superstar hire that they're going to make. I would chase once. I would not chase after that. I would not give up hope if you don't hear back, but I would always have my finger in a lot of pies when it comes to processes, and I would not be putting my eggs in one basket. That's it for today. I hope this episode helped to kickstart your career glow up. Do not forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future career tips and tricks. Share this with a friend who's also navigating their career journey or job hunt. And let's build an unstoppable community of professionals who know how to win in the corporate world. There are extra resources on my website and in the links in my bios to help you land your dream job and tackle your corporate dilemmas one step at a time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Corporate Agony Ant.